Hey, what's up, Outriders? Bringing you the very first update that we will be getting on the state of the game, and going to be going over the Reddit developer post that they made just 4 hours ago. They made this to address a lot of the problems that the game has been having and to tell us that they do have a patch set and scheduled for next week. But here they will be outlining everything that it will include, and that they are ensuring us that there will be a lot more stuff that's not included so far. It has a very large set of things with links. I will be going over each of these, and some of them I will be summarizing because they are very small. But going into the very first one, the patch notes. The patch notes are going over that this is the very first and the big, it's going to be a big patch coming next week, and that is the first. They have it scheduled for next week, as they are going to continue to identify severe problems that the game is facing. And they will be doing a lot of testing so that they deliver us the most stable patch, so that the patch doesn't just cause more problems than it fixes. They will be letting us know on Twitter whenever they have the exact release day. So we make sure you follow the Outriders Twitter and keep your eye on that. The very first things that they're addressing is that the cross-platform will be re-enabled when all platforms are brought up to the exact same patch. When PS4/PS5, Xbox One/Series X and S, and PC are all in the same patch, that is when we will be receiving crossplay once again. Or whenever it will be viable once again. We do not know that it is right then when we will receive it. Overall stability for matchmaking, this is great. I have a lot of multiplayer disconnections constantly over on my streams, and just in general while grinding out. Crash fixes is the biggest problem that the game is facing, and I'm very glad to see that they are looking into it. The crash, this very specific one I'm glad to see, is the crash that wipes people's inventory, which they do detail later down in the other patches, or sorry, in the other links, what they will be doing to fix that, like what happened to people to recompensate. They will be fixing certain quests that are broken. They will be fixing crashes that when your language is set to Spanish. They will be fixing crashes on launch issues. I had my brother just received this one the other day where he crashed, tried to launch the game, crashed again. So subsequent crashes was pretty annoying. The more random ones are the ones that are the most annoying. End of expedition, towards the end of a boss fight, on world tier 15 doing the final boss. All big problems. Disappearing HUD glitch, that one's going to be fixed. This one actually ended one of my expeditions just the other day, where I went out for a risky revive, assuming to use my Phoenix Nestling if I had to, and my brother was unrevivable. He could not be revived. So I then went down, we lost the expedition. We'll be fixing some bugs that get people stuck on the geometry. This one happens every once in a while, not so much for me as a pyromancer, but I have heard about it happening to other people. This one is another one I'm really excited about. We'll be setting the default matchmaking setting from open to closed. This is really good because on accident, if you forget, you'll have to kick people, or you'll have AFK lobbies, which is something that they address, right here. So that is another really good fix to be seen, because some people don't want to play on multiplayer and they forget to close it, causing major issues. The bottom details some more minor fixes and improvements that are yet to be very much specified. And then we have some PC specific stuff, which is that they will fix performance issues where the GPU is not being fully utilized. This should help with stuttering, other such stuff. Moving into the second one, the community appreciation package, which is good to see, will be kind of compensating us for having to deal with all the crashes this week and throughout the next week. They have, they talk about how it did not go as planned. They've been working on the game for 5+ years, and they're assuring us that this isn't going to be just another rerun of Anthem, that they are going to fix it and that we just have to be a little patient. They want to thank every single person for playing, and we'll be giving people who play from March 31st to April 11th this community appreciation package, which will have certain things that I don't think they specify, but will also contain a level appropriate legendary weapon. So say if you're level 45, if you're level 50, you'll be getting a weapon of that level of legendary rarity. A level appropriate amount of titanium. They don't really specify just yet, so we'll see what that is. And the emote frustration, which they said the irony is not lost on them, and it will be unobtainable to people who did not play during this appreciation period. Going on to the next one. This one is the inventory wipes and restorations. This is the game-breaking crash that would occur during a multiplayer disconnection, and they are addressing it and fixing it. And this is specifically addressing them restoring people's inventories. They believe that the rate at which the bug is appearing will be greatly reduced with the upcoming patch, hoping that it doesn't happen anymore, period. And they intend to run a one-off mass restoration of people whose inventories were reset. The exact date isn't specified just yet, but they will have updates most likely on their Twitter as to when it will be there and confirmed. They will be able to restore most valuable tiers of items lost, epics, and legendaries. I don't think they will be restoring anything else. We will be unlikely to restore an inventory full of blue gear. The restoration should be additive to your inventory. It should not replace your current inventory. But here's something that's causing a lot of discrepancies in the community. Restored items will not have the exact same stats as the lost items. So say you sunk a bunch of shards into leveling up your attributes, those are going to be lost. They said that they cannot fix that. They then go into some more details and talk about the accolade wipe issue as well. They're trying to find a one-off restoration for that as well, but no such thing has been specified as of yet. The rebalancing is definitely the area that's going to cause a lot more issues with some of the community, because this is also the area that I don't particularly agree with either. They talk about implementing back-end updates that do not require a big patch. The general balance notes, they're talking about the Historian, Bounty Hunt, and Monster Hunt Quest exploit, which they say people will not be punished for taking advantage of this exploit, which I'm not sure I agree with that entirely. But essentially the exploit was redoing the Historian, Bounty Hunt, and Monster Quest lines to constantly farm legendaries, guaranteed legendaries. They're doing this to try to eliminate exploit behavior and but still make the quest line worth the effort. They're adjusting some loot on specific creatures. These beasts take very little to kill, and we're rewarding quite a bit for very little effort. So it's good to see that they're getting rid of that. Here is something that a large discrepancy has opened up in the community. They are lowering expedition times, and not in the sense of making them easier, making them harder. Specifically, Chemplant and Boomtown, you will have to complete them faster to achieve gold, which is a little bit ridiculous, as many in the community have already seen that this is very, very discouraging to anyone not running a glass cannon DPS build. Tanks, supports, flexes, all get screwed over by the expedition's time trial system, making it to where lowering the time and making it more difficult to achieve is just going to cause even more dislike towards the expedition system for these kind of classes. They're trying to say that the expeditions are too generous in their required completion times. Not sure I agree with that. We want to avoid disappointing discrepancies, such as making all expeditions viable leads to more diverse and thus more interesting end game. I think they need to just remove the time trial system and come up with a whole new system entirely, because, like I said, if you're not running the most damage you can be doing, essentially a glass cannon DPS build, you're kind of being screwed over. And a lot of people, especially Devastators, are being kicked out of lobbies because they're assuming they're running a tank build, which is more akin to that class's strength. And if you're running a tank build, you're most likely not running, say, the higher challenge tier gold runs. You're not going to get through it because you just don't have the damage output as you would with like 3 Pyromancers running DPS, or 3 Technomancers running DPS, or 3 Tricksters running DPS. So a lot of Devastator players are just being kicked. They're just being kicked from the game immediately. They are lowering the critical rate the critical rating damage multiplier on tactical rifles. No, I noticed they were a bit strong, not strong enough to really merit a nerf like this, but thankfully it's only 10%. They are lowering the critical rating damage multiplier on marksman's rifles. This one is a very major nerf, and I don't really think they should have done it, taking them all the way from 300% down to 250. Not sure about that. Yeah, dominating multiple crit builds. Kind of the only place that they were viable was crit builds. Duration of massacre AP buff has been reduced to 3 seconds. They're still going to be working on that. That's a temporary measure. Here's the big one. The bullet abilities, twisted rounds, blighted rounds, and volcanic rounds are receiving, I do believe, a nerf. While we fully intend to provide the most overpowered feel for the best builds out there, we are also committed to making sure that there is build diversity in the top performing builds. Late in the demo lifecycle, we discovered a bug that with regards to the bullet augmentation abilities damage calculation formula. While we fixed this bug, some unforeseen imbalances were unfortunately introduced. Basically, they're saying that they don't want this to just be the only viable thing at top tier. To achieve said adjustments, they are a couple adjustments for the Trickster, Pyromancy classes who benefit the most from the bullet powers. Apparently, the Pyromancers don't. It's uncertain as to what these changes will be, or if they'll be too strong, too weak. The major nerf going to twisted rounds. Increasing the skill cooldown to 25 seconds from 16, almost adding a whole 10 seconds. That's a bit ridiculous. The Trickster Hero Tree Node, Disruptive Power, Scion of Power, Outrider Executioner have their powers reduced to 35%, previously 50, another major 15% nerf on multiple different nodes. That one's a bit ridiculous. Vulnerable status reduced to 15% from 25%, so a lot of people are running the weakness vulnerable builds. That they're going to see a lot of nerfing there. The Technomancer tree damage against poison has been reduced, so those poison builds aren't going to be, those blighted rounds poison builds aren't going to be as viable anymore either. The Pyromancer Hero Tree Node Trial of Ashes has been reduced to 15% extra damage, previously 30. We didn't need you to do that. Pyromancer is already the second weakest class in the game. They didn't need to do that to us. That's a bit ridiculous. But going on to the next one, the multiplayer stability and connection. I will summarize the last one real quick. The launch connectivity postmortem. In that one, in that link in particular, they go over a lot of the problems that the game is having in a very technical sense, going over the very specific reasons why the problems are occurring. And so even for the TLDR, they just have a little emote. For the most part, for the average player, that doesn't matter. There are problems, they're working on them. And in that, they specify what the problems are, how they're occurring, and what they're doing to fix them. Not really a big important thing to go over. The multiplayer stability and connection, very, very short summary here. Co-op and multiplayer sessions are a separate matter from solo play connectivity. Launching a multiplayer session requires multiple different partners and services. For example, matchmaking and queuing are hosted by one service partner, while the peer-to-peer replay is handled by another. Other components are hosted by other partners. This is a normal setup for multiplayer games, but it is important to mention because when we attempt to track multiplayer or co-op issues, knowing exactly what issues appear at what point is vital. They are just basically explaining that they are trying to fix it, and in the TLDR for the post-mortem stuff where they go over a lot of it, they don't just try to place all the blame on the servers. They do explain that there are deeper set issues that they are attempting to debug, and that they're not just going to push the blame off to someone else, which I might as well just click on that and show you. The post-mortem. Yes. Frustrating experience, huge amount of things. Committed to full transparency today. We've been over the past year. We won't just give you the expected. Server demand was too much for us. So yeah, they talk about how they're going to be debugging it. If you want to pause the video to read the tech-heavy insight, you can. But that's basically just going over a lot of the technical stuff. I hope that you've enjoyed this video. Once the update goes live, I'll be making another video talking about everything that it did fix, all the promises that were kept or promises that were broken, and we'll be able to see what like that level specific amount of titanium will be. We'll be able to see if they were able to fix some other connectivity issues, any other nerfs or buffs that are being rolled out. So, see you then.